For anyone questioning the Caitlin Clark effect, we now have people wanting to watch golf because of her. We saw the kind of offer that Ice Cube made to Caitlin to play in the Big Three. That is $5 million.
Caitlin Clark just made more money in 1 year than most people will see in their entire lives. We're talking about a rookie who supposedly became a billionaire while earning peanuts from the WNBA itself. The math doesn't add up until you realize what's actually happening behind the scenes. Clark earned exactly $76,535 from her WNBA contract in her first season. That's less than what some people make managing a coffee shop. Meanwhile, she's supposedly sitting on a billion-dollar empire that has every sports executive scratching their heads and wondering how they missed the memo. But here's where things get absolutely wild. While other rookies are celebrating their first professional paychecks, Clark turned her basketball skills into a money-printing machine that operates completely outside the traditional sports salary structure. She's not just playing basketball anymore. She's running a business that makes her WNBA paycheck look completely ridiculous. The woman charges $100,000 for a 30-minute virtual appearance. Think about that for a second. She makes more in half an hour of talking on a video call than her entire monthly WNBA salary. Companies are literally throwing money at her just to have her show up and say hello to their employees or customers. Not only that, but she's earned at least $600,000 this year just from speaking engagements alone.
And I'm so happy for her to get the 28 flipping million.
That's 8 times her WNBA salary for work that doesn't even require her to touch a basketball. She's getting paid more to talk about basketball than to actually play it professionally. Her playoff games brought in over 2.6 million viewers. When her season ended, WNBA ratings immediately dropped below 1 million. The league basically watched half their audience disappear the moment Clark left the court. That's not just star power, that's economic leverage that most veteran players can only dream about. The real kicker, companies are signing her to endorsement deals without even requiring a pitch. Nike reportedly handed her millions based purely on her name recognition. State Farm blew their entire advertising budget featuring her in commercials. Wilson gave her a signature basketball collection deal that only one other player in history has received.
Caitlin Clark's last WNBA playoff game had over 2.6 million viewers, and now we are seeing the ratings dip under 1 million.
Clark figured out something that most professional athletes never understand. The sport itself is just the platform. The real money comes from building a brand that transcends the game. While her fellow rookies are focused on improving their jump shots, she's building an empire that could outlast her entire playing career. Here's the thing nobody wants to admit. The WNBA needs Clark way more than she needs them. Her strategic decision to stay in the league isn't about the salary or even the competition. It's about maintaining the respectability and platform that keeps her endorsement deals flowing and her speaking fees climbing. Let's take a moment to understand just how Clark transformed herself into a walking ATM machine while the WNBA was paying her lunch money. The numbers behind her off-court empire are so ridiculous they make professional gambling look conservative. Clark's speaking fee structure reads more like a luxury car price list than athlete appearance costs. Virtual appearances start at $100,000 for 30 minutes. In-person events easily cost double or triple that amount. She's essentially charging more per minute than most surgeons make per hour. But wait, it gets even more insane. Major corporations are treating her appearances the way tech companies treat product launches. They're flying her across the country, booking entire conference centers, and paying premium rates just to have her grace their stages. The woman has turned small talk into a 6-figure business model. Her endorsement portfolio reads like a who's who of American corporate giants. Nike signed her for millions without requiring a single presentation. They basically handed her a blank check and asked her to fill in the numbers. State Farm restructured their entire advertising strategy around featuring her in their commercials.
Smith has said that the league is going to lose about $50 million. Is there a scenario that you will try to raise more money right now?
Probably not. We probably don't need to raise capital like we did back when I came in 2020.
Wilson, the basketball company that's been around since 1913, gave Clark something they've only offered to one other player in their century-plus history. She became the first female basketball player to secure a signature basketball collection deal. That puts her in the same category as Michael Jordan in terms of marketing power and brand recognition. The genius part nobody talks about is how Clark monetizes her social media presence. She's got millions of followers hanging on her every post, and each piece of content becomes an opportunity to generate revenue. She's more skilled at sponsored content than influencers who've been doing this for decades. Every photo, every video, every casual update becomes a potential income stream. Brands are paying astronomical amounts just to be associated with her posts. She's figured out how to turn her daily life into a marketing opportunity that prints money around the clock. Not only that, but her global appeal extends far beyond basketball fans.
Look at player salaries. People wonder, why are NBA player salaries 100 times higher than WNBA salaries? Because the TV money was 100 times higher.
Golf enthusiasts are suddenly interested in women's basketball because of her influence. Ice Cube offered her $5 million to play in his Big 3 league for just 3 months. That's more than most WNBA players make in their entire careers. The most impressive aspect of Clark's business strategy is how she's maintained authenticity while building this financial empire. People don't just listen to her because she's famous. They believe her because she comes across as genuine and relatable despite commanding premium rates for her time. Here's what makes this whole situation completely bonkers. Clark has essentially created a parallel economy where her personal brand generates more revenue than the entire league she plays in. She's not just a basketball player who happens to make money. She's a business empire that happens to include basketball as one revenue stream.
Magic moment, if you recall, from 1979 when those two rookies came in from a big college rivalry, one white, one black. And so we have that moment with these two. But the one thing I know about sports, you need rivalry. That's what makes people watch. They want to watch games of consequence.
Now here's where Nike completely lost their minds. They handed Caitlin Clark a $28 million contract over 8 years, which sounds absolutely massive until you realize they forgot the most important part. The deal conspicuously lacks the one thing that turns athletes into billionaires: a signature shoe. Nike essentially signed the most marketable basketball player on the planet and then decided not to capitalize on her most obvious money-making opportunity. It's the equivalent of buying a gold mine and then refusing to dig. The company is sitting on what could be the biggest sneaker launch in women's sports history, and they're doing absolutely nothing about it. But here's the twist nobody saw coming. Without signature shoes, Clark's Nike deal might actually be leaving hundreds of millions on the table. Look at Michael Jordan's sneaker empire or Stephen Curry's brand. Those are multi-billion-dollar businesses built entirely on footwear sales. Nike basically gave Clark a participation trophy when they could have handed her the keys to a sneaker kingdom. Every basketball fan, young and old, would absolutely lose their minds if Clark stepped onto the court wearing her own signature shoes during the playoffs. The demand would be instantaneous and overwhelming. Kids who've never watched basketball would suddenly want Clark's sneakers just because she's become a household name. The math behind this missed opportunity is staggering. Clark's playoff games attracted millions of viewers who were specifically tuning in to watch her play. That's the exact audience that drives sneaker sales through the roof. Nike has built their entire business model around athletes who can move merchandise, and they're refusing to let their biggest star actually move merchandise. Not only that, but the timing couldn't be more perfect for a signature shoe launch. Clark's popularity is at its absolute peak right now. Her global recognition extends far beyond basketball fans. She's got the kind of crossover appeal that makes sneaker executives wake up in cold sweats thinking about missed opportunities. Nike's delay strategy makes zero business sense when you consider how quickly athlete popularity can shift. Every day without a signature shoe is money walking out the door. Every game she plays in generic Nike shoes is a missed advertising opportunity that other brands would kill for. Here's what makes this situation absolutely ridiculous. Other companies are throwing millions at Clark for much smaller opportunities, while Nike sits on the biggest opportunity of all. State Farm restructured their advertising around her. Wilson gave her a signature basketball deal, but Nike, the company built on athlete endorsements, is treating her signature shoe potential like it's some distant future possibility. The woman commands six-figure speaking fees and brings in millions of viewers wherever she goes. Her social media posts generate massive engagement. Her name alone moves merchandise and drives brand recognition. Yet Nike is treating the signature shoe opportunity like it's some kind of experimental risk rather than the guaranteed goldmine it obviously represents. Here's where Caitlin Clark proved she's playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers. The unrivaled 3-on-3 league came at her with an offer that would make most people sign immediately. Over $1 million in salary plus significant equity in the league. Clark looked at that $1 million payday and basically laughed it off. Most athletes would have grabbed that money faster than a free throw rebound. $1 million salary is more than 13 times what the WNBA was paying her, plus equity in a new league. That's the kind of deal that could set someone up for life if the league takes off. But Clark saw something nobody else understood. She realized that chasing quick money would actually cost her long-term wealth. The WNBA might pay peanuts, but it offers something far more valuable than any salary: respectability and an established platform that keeps her endorsement deals flowing. The brilliance of her decision becomes crystal clear when you look at what happened after she turned down Unrivaled. Her speaking fees stayed at 6 figures. Her endorsement deals remained intact. Her global recognition continued growing. Meanwhile, players who might have jumped to the new league would be starting over with building their brands. Clark understood that leaving the WNBA would be financial suicide disguised as a smart business move. Her entire empire is built on being the face of women's professional basketball. Walking away from the most established league would undermine everything she's worked to build. Not only that, but her rejection sent a clear message to the entire sports world. She's not desperate for money because she's already making more than most veteran players through her off-court activities. The Unrivaled offer was impressive, but it paled in comparison to her existing income streams. Here's what makes her decision absolutely genius. By staying in the WNBA, Clark maintained her position as the league's biggest draw while keeping all her external revenue sources intact. She gets to be the face of professional women's basketball while earning millions from companies that want to associate with that image. Her choice also protected her from the massive risk that comes with new leagues. Sports history is littered with alternative leagues that promise big money and then collapsed within a few years. The WNBA has been around for decades and provides stability that new ventures simply cannot guarantee. The real power move nobody talks about is how Clark's decision actually strengthened her negotiating position everywhere else. By proving she's not motivated purely by money, she demonstrated the kind of long-term thinking that makes brands want to invest in her even more heavily. Companies want to partner with athletes who make smart decisions and think strategically about their careers. Clark's rejection of easy money showed she's building something sustainable rather than just grabbing whatever cash is available. That's exactly the kind of business mindset that keeps endorsement deals growing year after year. Now let's dive into the real bombshell that has WNBA executives losing sleep at night. Clark's financial independence has fundamentally shifted the power dynamics in women's professional basketball, and the league's leadership is scrambling to figure out how to handle a player who doesn't actually need them. The WNBA has always operated under the assumption that players would be grateful for whatever salary they offered. Low pay was justified by claiming the league was still growing and needed time to build revenue. Then Clark showed up and proved that individual players could generate more income than entire franchises. But here's where things get absolutely wild for the league. When your biggest star is making more money outside your system than inside it, traditional leverage disappears completely. The WNBA can't threaten Clark with salary cuts or contract disputes because her external income dwarfs anything they could possibly offer. Clark's success has created a blueprint that other top players are starting to follow. A'ja Wilson and other stars watched Clark build her empire and realized they don't have to accept the league's financial limitations. They're starting to demand better treatment because they've seen what's possible when players think bigger than just their basketball salaries. The domino effect is already happening throughout the league's power structure. When Unrivaled tried to use star players as leverage against the WNBA, those same stars basically told them to take a hike. They're not interested in being pawns in someone else's business negotiations, especially when they're building their own financial independence. Not only that, but Clark's approach has exposed how poorly the league has been marketing its own talent. She's generated more media attention and viewer engagement in one season than the WNBA has managed to create for most of its other stars over their entire careers. The contrast is embarrassing for league leadership. The upcoming CBA negotiations are going to be completely different because of what Clark has demonstrated. Players now know that the league's claims about limited revenue don't hold up when individual athletes can generate massive income streams independently. The old excuses about financial constraints don't work anymore. Here's the part that has WNBA owners truly panicking. If more players start following Clark's model and building external revenue sources, the league loses its primary form of player control. When athletes don't desperately need their basketball salaries to survive, they can make demands that owners have never had to consider before. Clark's billion-dollar empire isn't just changing her own career trajectory, she's revolutionizing how women's professional sports operate at the business level. She's proven that individual athletes can build brands that transcend their sport and generate wealth that makes traditional salary negotiations look completely outdated. The bottom line is simple. Caitlin Clark has broken the system by refusing to play by rules that were designed to keep players financially dependent. She's built something bigger than basketball, and now everyone else in women's sports is scrambling to figure out how to adapt to this new reality. If you enjoyed this breakdown of how Clark is reshaping professional sports economics and want to see more content about the business side of athletics, smash that subscribe button to support the channel.